Hi everyone. This video is a very special book review about a book that is one of your personal favorites, and it is Powers of the Psalms, compiled by Anna Riva, of course. As I said, this is one of my favorite videos of yours on my channel. I've had a lot of people comment under the different reviews and ask a lot of questions, so this video is going to be a very special video. I'm not going to be answering specific questions, but I am going to be answering overarching umbrella-like questions that hopefully will give you an answer if you're curious about anything. It's also a very special video because I'm also going to share with you some of the comments and results from my accountability partner. So this video is different because in this particular video, I have an accountability partner. My accountability partner lives in another state, and we started doing the Psalms together at the beginning of the year just to see what type of results we could get. And I'm going to just share with you bits of what he wrote to me about his results, and also bits of info from conversations that we had that I feel would be relevant to this video. I'm also going to share with you some of the personal results that I have gotten since my last video. I apologize that it took me so long to upload this particular review. I've been very busy. A lot of stuff has been going on, and this particular book I won't be doing a review on again for a long while. I would give it maybe a year. I might do it, but I'm going to start using other Psalms books just to explore my different options. Also, a little disclaimer, I've had mostly positive comments, but if you're a person that's very religious and you get mad about this, or you don't understand what this video is not a religious video. It's a blend of religion and the occult in one video. So if that offends you, I sincerely apologize, but that is what this is, so you won't be confused. Also, for those confused on my religious background, I grew up Christian. Both sides of my family are extremely Christian. I'm talking about Baptist, Pentecostal, AME, Jehovah's Witness. Almost every dynamic of Christian that you can think of is on both sides of my family. And my entire childhood was spent in the church. I went to a church school. I was in church, either at school or at church, about 6 days a week. The Bible was drilled into my head. My entire curriculum was the Bible. We went back and forth through this Bible. So it is nothing that I have not seen, basically, in the Bible. Like, we went through all of it. So I'm not speaking from a place of not being a Bible reader. I'm just saying, like, that was my whole life for years, was the Bible, being immersed in it. So I've always gravitated towards the occult, even as a child. Even though I had no exposure to it, it's just been something I've gravitated towards. And that's just how it is. So we're going to start off answering your overall overarching umbrella questions. One of the most dominant questions that I have gotten on my Powers of the Psalms videos is, how do I say the Psalms? I think that's a very interesting question because it's actually very similar to the questions I got when I was in a Sanskrit mantra group on Facebook. My Facebook is deactivated, by the way, so I'm not on there right now. But you guys asked similar questions to the people in the Ganesha mantras group. I was chanting the Ganesha mantra, which is like a Sanskrit mantra, and getting very great results. And the people in the group were asking me, like, how do you say it? Do you say it like this? Do you say it like that? Do you light a candle? Do you do this? Do you do that? And I just thought it was strange because a lot of them were from India, or lived in India, so I thought they would have more access to anything Ganesha more than I did, because he's basically on their turf. But it just reminded me of that. So I'm going to share with you how I say it and how you could possibly say it. The first thing I want to say is it is really not that complicated. Sometimes we as humans make things very complicated unnecessarily. Sometimes we make it complicated in order to keep us focused and to help us. Some people need detailed rituals. I do not say the Psalms in the same way. I say it in all types of different ways, and it works either way that I do it. Sometimes I will say the Psalms with a candle. I'll be like, depending if it's like a baneful one, like I want to destroy my enemies, then I'll use a black candle. Sometimes I will have no tools at all. Sometimes I'll write it on a paper or do the workings in here, like the exact workings in here, and just burn the paper. But most of the time, I don't have any tools. Why? Because I don't have time. I don't have time. I have my artwork that I do. I have work, and that's a lot, getting to work and being at work and helping customers. Then I have school. So sometimes I just don't have time to get all of these tools. And I have to say it in different ways depending on the situation. So for example, sometimes I will read the Psalms silently. I won't say them. I'll just read them. I'll hear the words in my mind. Why will I read it silently? Because sometimes I'll be on the train on my way to work, and I just don't want to bring attention to myself, so I'll just be reading it. Sometimes I'll have a mala in my hand, and I'll be chanting the mala under my breath while reading the Psalms, multitasking. Sometimes I will just read it like a book, just like, I'll just say it. I won't have any passion. The only thing that I keep in my heart is that I know whatever I'm reading, whatever my intention is going to be coming soon. It is done. Whenever I read the Psalms, if it's something I want or want to get rid of, I know that it is done. In my mind, after I complete the Psalm, it is done. Sometimes I visualize. Sometimes I am very animated with it. So I'm going to use one psalm as an example, which is Psalm 113. I'm using this because it's short. I don't want it to be too long. So when I look at this psalm, it says on here, enable one to attain honors. That is what Anna Riva says the psalm is for. It says a purple candle, and repeat this psalm at any time there are awards or prizes to be awarded. When I say this psalm, I don't have a purple candle. I have a different reason for chanting this psalm or saying this psalm. I associate this psalm with fertility, based off of the last line, which is, he maketh the barren woman to keep house, and to be a joyful mother of children. Praise ye the Lord. So I'm going to read it in one of the ways that I read the Psalms, and then I'll explain what I did after. So it says, praise ye the Lord. Praise, O ye servants of the Lord. Praise the name of the Lord. Blessed be the name of the Lord, from this time forth and forevermore. From the rising of the sun until the going down of the same, the Lord's name is to be praised. The Lord is high above all nations, and his glory above the heavens. Who is like unto the Lord our God, who dwelleth on high, who humbleth himself to behold the things that are in heaven and in the earth? He raiseth up the poor out of the dust, and lifteth the needy out of the dunghill, that he may set him with princes, even with the princes of his people. He maketh the barren woman to keep house, and to be a joyful mother of children. Praise ye the Lord. So that's one of the ways I read it. So I might have just, to you it might have sounded regular, like, okay, whatever. But in my mind, when I'm reading it sometimes, I keep the vision of people celebrating. Like, how can you say, praise ye the Lord, praise ye? The Psalms used to be said or sung with instruments. There's even parts of the Psalms where you'll see like something like cue the instruments, or the instruments, or Haggain or something like that. They weren't just said without sound most of the time. They were said or sung with instruments. So when I visualize this psalm, I visualize people celebrating. I visualize trumpets. They're saying, praise ye the Lord, praise ye the Lord. It's like those Jesus movies where they're saying, Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna. And they have the palm leaves, Hosanna, Hosanna. They're not just sitting here saying like, oh, Hosanna. They're visualizing. And even if I'm not visualizing that, I'm saying it like I know that my fertility issues are done. Because, you know, I associate this with fertility. I'm like, I know my baby is coming. It's done. My baby is here. I know because it is promised. He maketh the barren woman to keep house and to be a joyful mother of children. So in my mind, I imagine a woman that is trying to have children, and here she is, and all of her children are around her, and she's just laughing, and everybody in this is laughing, 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 laughing. Sometimes I hear music when I'm reading it. I just hear it in my head. But that's just my way of saying the Psalms. You can say it in your own way. You can do it in your own way. You could just be sitting and you could play the Psalms on YouTube, somebody else reading it, and just let it be heard in your ears. You could paint the Psalms. You could be reading it and painting. One of the paintings that I always show in almost every video is Psalm 128. It's a painting I did for my cousin's wedding. I made the person or the woman in there look like similar to her, similar hair color, and the woman was visualizing the promises of Psalm 128. She was visualizing her children. She was visualizing the happiness, because my cousin is very religious. She's a, I don't know if she's Baptist or something. It's my younger cousin. But in the painting, I painted a little girl and a little boy. And this was before she had kids. And she ended up having a little girl and a little boy. So I painted her future. You could create the Psalms as a dance. You could create it as a song. You can do whatever it is that gets it into your mind or into your vibration. It doesn't have to be fancy. It's just the intention of your heart. Now, my accountability partner, on the other hand, did have a specific way he said the Psalms. He said, I chant out loud, then reread it to decide the meaning. And he says, if you chant 7 times a day for 7 days, whatever you chant goes into overdrive. And he also visualizes. That is what my accountability partner said about the Psalms. I don't know how he chanted them. I don't know if he said it at a rhythm or if he just like read it, but that he said he chanted it. So that's what he did. So if you want to chant it, you can. Me, I like, oh wait, I'll save this one for another question. Hold on. Let me write this down before I forget. Yeah. hold on, I'm losing my train of thought. Okay. When he says, I want to decide the meaning, these psalms are ancient psalms, okay? It's not going to be just one-dimensional. Even the Hebrew letters, there's 22 of them, have different meanings. You'll have one letter with like 7 different meanings. It's spiritual technology. You might even not want to read the Psalms out loud. You might could just look at the Hebrew version of it. Like, I don't know where I found this book or where I bought it, but it's basically the Psalms in Hebrew and in English side by side. So you could just look at the Hebrew letters and let it absorb into your consciousness. You can even say it in Hebrew if you want to. You could write the Psalms in the Hebrew letters over and over and over as a writing meditation. Another thing that people asked me is, do you have to read it daily? No, you don't. At one point I did, and yes, it did go faster. I will, support what he said. He said his 7 times, and his did go into overdrive. There's a lot of things happening with him. There were like a lot of money opportunities coming for him. There was like people acting in different ways around him, especially if it was like maybe like people that were close to him. So he got a lot of results almost faster than I did. I noticed, and he also noticed, that sometimes you don't have to say the Psalms every day because they're so powerful that it's almost like a residual effect. Like, I'm still getting results from Psalms that I said 2 months ago, just because I said them consistently for like 5 days, and then the results just started rolling in because they're that powerful. The energy was still working. And another question that people ask me, can I use it alone or can I utilize it with others? Some people don't feel comfortable blending the Psalms with other systems. Like me, I will say the Psalms, but I will also say Sanskrit mantras. But sometimes I will also say mantras from the Kabbalah, from like the 72 names of God. But some people are not comfortable with that, and that is okay. You can use the Psalms by themselves, and they are just as powerful. You can use the Psalms by itself, and it will work. You don't need any tools. You don't need anything. You just say it. I like making paintings, like I said, of the Psalms. This one is one of my paintings I made of Psalm 45. Put it on a note card. Now, let us see. Let us get into some of my results. I tried to, organize them, but I'm pretty sure I'm not going to go in exact order. My results. Okay. What shall we start with? Okay. Psalm 76 and Psalm 78. I actually have 2 separate stories for each one of them. So let's start with Psalm 76. Psalm 76, as I mentioned in other videos, is for money out of thin air, or at least that's what Ariel Gatoga on YouTube had said, because he has a Psalms channel, and you should go to his channel and check out, because he goes more in depth with the Psalms than I do. But Psalm 76, according to this book, is for defense against danger, promote chance for winning contests or games, and thanks for victory over temptation. So I would say this psalm on and off, on and off, on and off. Today, I just got a result from this psalm. I had submitted some artwork to some type of journal that I forgot about in probably January or February. And they're like, we accept all 5 of your art submissions and blah, 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 blah. Oh, great. That's great. That's just what I needed to hear. Thank you. Thank you. So now I'm going to be in some type of student magazine from something that I did weeks ago. But whenever I really, really, really want money, I say Psalm 76. If I want money through my artwork, I say Psalm 87 because that is for promoting chances for success in the arts. I've said that one on and off too, and I've gotten like people like, I want you to illustrate my book and all of that. But anyway, so for Psalm 76, I chanted it, and a day or two after I chanted it, one of my friends called, and we were talking about money, and he gave me this idea, because I was asking while I was chanting Psalm 76, I need different ways where I can manifest money fast. So the next day, my friend called, and he said one of his methods was to give his phone a job. Instead of seeing his phone as a phone, he sees it as a magic box. And whenever the magic box rings, it's to give him money. And he set a limit a day that he wants to get. He wanted to get at least such and such amount of money a day. So at that time, when I was really focusing, I said, you know what? I just want $100 right now. I just want it. I just want $100 for a day. And I don't want it for any reason. I just want it. Give it to me. Send it to me. And I focused on Psalm 76. So one day, a customer came in and something was bothering her. I don't remember what it was. It was something about her Reiki teacher. And people were criticizing her for having a Reiki teacher that was of a different race or something like that. So it was really bothering her. And I spoke to her about it, and I spoke to her about the things that she was going through. It just felt like there was this psychic stream coming through my mind. And I just kept talking and talking and talking. I couldn't stop. And at the end of it, she was like, you are amazing. And she handed me $100. This is the $100. And I was like, what? She's like, this is for you. And I'm like, I can't. She's like, take it. That was the day. That was the day after. She handed me $100. She counted what I did as a reading. I was blown. I was mind blown. Okay. The next psalm. Psalm 78. What is crazy about this psalm? And I don't know if it was this psalm or if it was one of the Psalm 119s that I worked with. But Psalm 78 is for psychic abilities. Psalm 78 is very long. That's why I don't say it every day. It says, intensify psychic talents. I only said this psalm one time. It says, intensify psychic talents. To become more attuned to the wonders of heaven and the signs of earth, read this before attempting any spiritism, telepathy, astral projection, automatic writing, or other psychic work. You can also use Psalm 49 for psychic abilities. Psalm 49 is expand one's psychic abilities. and you copy the verses 1 through 4 onto paper, place it beneath a brown candle when one is interested in increasing the second sight. Burn the candle while practicing telepathy, crystal gazing, extrasensory perception, or any of the other occult sciences. I mixed it up when I did this. I said Psalm 78 with a brown candle. And not long after that, I had a customer, and she came in with her son, and they were talking about something was going on with her daughter. I think it was her daughter. And she just asked me one question, and I just started talking, and I couldn't stop talking. And I'm like, Kiara, shut the fuck up. I'm like, what are you? Why do you keep talking? But all I heard was just this. I just kept seeing images in my head, so I just kept saying them out loud. I was like, your child is doing this, and they feel like this because this is what's happening, and blah, 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 and they're acting this way, and these are the things that they're doing, and they're slamming doors, and they're doing this, and they're blah, 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 blah. And I was doing streaming all these details, and I had no proof of any of this happening, and the lady's eyes just kept getting bigger and bigger. She's just like, and then her son kept looking at her, and I was like, and then, I was just on a fucking roll. And then, this lady said, oh my God, are you a psychic? I was like, I'm not a psychic. She's like, yes, you are. And I'm like, no, I'm seriously, I'm not a psychic. If I was a psychic, I would just start a whole nother channel. I'd be like, goodbye. Goodbye, book reviews. Let me go over here and make some money. But I'm not a psychic. But this psalm really helped. And even though I've said this one time, the results are still coming residual. Like, it's getting more intense. I wonder if I say it again, if it'll get even more intense. So, some of the things that have happened since I've said that psalm, and I've mentioned this in my other videos. I had a dream. Somebody was sticking a gun through my mailbox. And I woke up and I was like, whew. So, a day or two later after the dream, there was a knock on my door. And I said, who is it? And they said their name. And it was somebody that I had been trying to avoid. The reason I had been trying to avoid them is because they made me feel extremely uncomfortable. They sent me some pictures, and that was the end of our friendship. So I had been avoiding them for 2 months. And when I heard it was them, I just stood at the stairwell and something's like, don't open the door. And I said, okay. And I just sat in my room and said nothing. So I thought that vision was biting the bullet, like facing the bullet. Like, he came to my door, he's trying to say something, or he's trying to apologize or give another unapology. I thought that's what my dream meant. Little did I know that weeks later, my downstairs neighbor, I'm whispering so we won't hear, my downstairs neighbor had an altercation with his house guest, and his house guest pulled out a gun on him. I heard a banging at my door. I opened the door. There's a police officer on the sidewalk with his gun drawn. My neighbor's right next to me, and he's like, yeah, man, he tried to pull out a gun on me. I look to my left, and as far as this book is from me, is a cop with a gun pointed in that direction. And the cop says, go upstairs. girl. Or he said, go upstairs. I don't know what he called me. He's like, go upstairs, hun, or something. And I was like, okay. So here comes 6 cops, 6 to 8 cops. They all have guns. And I thought that was very interesting that I was able to foresee that, and I didn't even see it coming. Then there was another, oh my goodness, something else happened. I've been having flashbacks from childhood. I've been able to feel when somebody is coming. Like today, I was sitting doing a task, and one of my coworkers was like, what is this area? I said, oh, we're going to be doing some type of life coaching or something. And I felt this vibration in my body, like somebody is coming and they need your help now. And they're going to ask you for life advice. And I'm like, oh no. 2 seconds later, here comes this girl. She's like, where is that girl? That short girl? Because I'm 5 feet tall. Where's that short girl? I need to talk to her. I was like, really? And she came to me. She's like, help me. I need you to tell me what to do with my life. And you ring, girl. So I've been able to feel things coming. It's so weird. It is so strange. But I'm still going to be working on it. Now I can feel when somebody's coming. I can feel when the phone is about to ring. I can feel when something's about to happen. Where not to go, it's so weird. Next thing. Psalm 119, 97 through 104, which is to increase wisdom. And Psalm 119, 105 through 112, which is to increase understanding. Since I've said these Psalms, the reason I said them was to help people, because a lot of people come to me for advice, and I just feel that often I don't have the wisdom that is necessary in order to help them. It's very hard. It's like I have to reach to a higher point of my mind in order to give them an answer that I know is a stable and wise answer. Since I've been saying these Psalms in particular, I've learned to slow down and really listen. So today, when the girl came to me and was asking me what to do with her life, I was about to answer, and I heard something in my mind say, stop, be still, listen. So usually when somebody asks me a question, sometimes I answer right away. But this time I waited. I just stared at her for 15 seconds. And I said, wait. And the voice said, she has to move. No, the voice said move. It's like, move. It's like, move. She has to move. And I said, you need to move. She's like, move out of my father's house? Like, get an apartment? I said, no, you need to move out of town. She's like, well, I have a sister in such and such a city, and she's been asking me to move there, and I really am thinking about it. I'm like, you need to go. And she said, why? And I had to pause again. And I got a flash of some of the books I've read about Qigong and Qi, and how certain places will have their own Qi, which can be almost a barrier to your own Qi. Here in this city, everything that's been happening to her has been back to back to back to back. Everything has just blown up in her face. And moving to a different city with a different chi would be a fresh start for her. So, these Psalms of wisdom and understanding have not only helped me to understand people a little bit better, it's helped me to understand certain situations better. It's caused me to slow down. It's also caused me to look at Psalms a different way. One of the things that I've also learned from the Psalms is righteousness and unrighteousness, which is something I never thought I would think about. But now it's becoming very clear. A lot of the times when people think of righteousness and unrighteousness, it just sounds like a loaded religious word. So I'm going to show you an example. Psalm 1, which is the very first psalm. I'm going to read it to you, then explain. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. A lot of violence has been happening in my city, and it's just made me notice such a contrast between what is righteous and what is unrighteous. Righteousness, I personally feel, has nothing to do with religion. It just has to do with how you operate in your life, how your thoughts operate within themselves. You can have higher thoughts, or you can have lower level thoughts. You could be a Muslim and be righteous. You could be a Buddhist and be righteous. You can be an atheist and be righteous. It's really how you live your life. People know what is righteous when they see it, because it is an energy that you can feel, that you can see. People gravitate towards it. It's so powerful that people are actually afraid of it. It's easy to be unrighteous, but it's difficult to be righteous, because now you have to think with a godly mind, with a higher mind. You have to think beyond your human nature. I believe this thought came to me when I was working with this Psalm 119, 97 through 104, which is to increase wisdom. I understand now. You could either go one way, the path that leads to nothing, or you could go another way, the path that leads to something. Everything in this world has an evolution. It's trying to reach for something. But when you're reaching for nothing, you're reaching towards death, almost. If you're not progressing in life, you'll either be taken out of this world, or you'll be used as an example of what not to be for other people, if that makes any sense. You fought all of these sperm in order to get here, in order to manifest here, and you have to live out your purpose in life. Some people might say, what if their purpose in life is to do nothing? That might be a case. But your soul wants to evolve into something. And when you're not doing that, you're walking a path of unrighteousness. In this Psalms, it says in Psalm 1, Blessed is the man that walketh not the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. This is, blessed is anyone who is following a moral path, that's following an evolutionary path, and is not following a path of death destruction, and blandness. I say blandness because it's just, or staleness. I can't remember what word I'm trying to find. His delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. So your thoughts should always be towards a higher nature. When your thoughts are towards a higher nature, everything around you will change or rearrange in order to fit that thought form. Sometimes people will drop out of your life because they just weren't on that level, or they just can't handle it, or they were a barrier and you didn't even know. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. The ungodly are your thoughts. And when you reach that higher mind, they go away. They're nothing. They have no substance. They don't last. That's why in Psalm 19, it says, "The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than honey in the honeycomb." That's wisdom. Wisdom will make your life sweet. Wisdom is more valuable than gold if you know how to follow it. The next thing, enemies. Destroying your enemies. I got 2 stories for you. 2. So, let's start with a throwback story. So, I had an enemy that I mentioned in another Psalms video. This lady was my friend. We were friends for about 5 years before. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Just a gunshot. That's crazy. Because that's the kind of energy that, okay. Actually, that gunshot was very accurate. That gunshot was accurate. Because I did not realize how close I was to death dealing with this woman. This lady, after 5 years of friendship, I found out she was a whole scammer. I found out she had been in prison for 6 years. And when I tried to leave the friendship, she tried to blackmail me. So I used Psalm 2 to destroy her. I used Psalm 2. And by destroy her, I meant basically get her out of my life. I didn't want anything to happen to her. I just wanted her out of my freaking life. So, as a result of that, I did a cemetery jar on her, and I did the Psalm 2 with some black candles, and she was gone for 7 months. I said, I don't want her to call me unless it's with an apology. And 7 months later, she called me with an apology, and she's like, I wonder what happened to my son. I don't know what happened to him. He went completely crazy, and he was running into people's houses naked, and now he's in jail. I was like, oh, that's so strange. How strange. So I thought we were cool. I thought everything was settled. So at the time, I had an Instagram, and I had just gotten on Instagram. I was posting my artwork. This is me and chilling. Then all of a sudden, lo and behold, she starts tagging me on Instagram. This lady is demonic. She's in a such and such a thing. She abused my relative and she stole his money and she's a witch and da-da-da-da and curses and don't trust her. So I abused the elderly girl? I abuse him? But he wanted to watch movies with me, even though he's like 70 something years old and he loved having my company around. I would sit with this old man and I would watch movies with him and we were good friends. I wasn't around him enough to even be abusive because I was not his primary caretaker. You were his primary caretaker. Anytime he saw me, he'd be like, oh, hello, how are you? He asked about me. I hadn't seen him in years, and he still asked about me. So how could I steal his money, and how could I freaking abuse him? At that point, I was like, this girl has got to go. So I did Psalm 2 again, but I didn't have any jar. And I read it just like this, because I was pissed off. So I deactivated my Instagram. I deleted my whole Instagram because I wasn't about to deal with this nonsense again. And I read it like this. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet I have set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. The Lord hath said unto me, thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings. Be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear, and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and ye perish from the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all they that put their trust in him. I was like, try me, girl, try me. I'm sorry, I'm having memories. Try me. I didn't do nothing to you. You want to lie on me? You want to say I abused the freaking elderly when I've never laid a hand on anybody except for the man that tried to attack me on the street? Try me, little girl. No, she's not little. She's like almost 50 years old. So I was like, universe, this bitch gotta go. I'm done. Destroy her. I'm done. Destroy her now. Completely. I want her gone. I never want to see her ever again in my life. I don't want to see her face. I don't want to get her freaking phone calls. I never want her see her again. This was last year. So, January rolls around. It's Martin Luther King Day. I'm thinking about going to the Martin Luther King Day march. I'm like, oh, let's go. But then I was like, wait, she might be there. She was always at those events trying to get people and freaking scam people. I hope I don't see that girl there. So I look her up on Google. And what do I find? The same person that she accused me of abusing. She burned his corpse in her house. The same house that she tried to move me into. Yeah. She burned his corpse. Now she's in jail. Over $100,000 bond. Cash only. Sounds like a life sentence to me. And I would say that psalm was a success. Next psalm. Psalm 140. I found this psalm by accident because I have a bully, and my bully wanted to try me. He made me so mad that I actually had a special candle I would burn on him. Every time he would act up, I would burn the black candle. Something would happen, he'd be nice again, I'd stop the black candle. But I don't know what happened this time, but he made me really, really, really mad. I cannot remember. Like, he made me so mad. I actually forgot what he made me mad about. But I was over it. And I got so mad and frustrated. I actually threw this book on the floor. And I'm not advocating for religious books to be thrown on the floor. But I just said, I need a psalm now. And it opened to Psalm 140, which was, punish liars and violent men. Well, well, well. So I said the psalm, and I said, I hope. I'm sorry. I said, I had to, like, I was standing up, but I'm sitting down. I said, I hope there's a woman that's exactly like him, that comes and destroys him. I hope everything he did to me, she does to him. I hope this girl comes out and just destroys his ass. And I said the Psalms. I don't know how many days later it was. It was either 3 days later or it was a week later. I don't know, but it was literally less than a week. So, the day before I found out, I had a dream. And in my dream, he was laying in a chair. And he was dressed in white and he couldn't move. He was like this. And he said, Kiara. I looked at him. I was like, what? And he just looked at me. He's like, Kiara. I was like, what? Why aren't you moving? Little did I know that night that I had the dream, this dude ends up in the hospital with emergency surgery. What happened to him? Well, I found out through the grapevine that he met a woman exactly like him. She came out of nowhere from his exact location. Where he came from, that's where she came from. What are the odds? What are the odds? Because he lives very far. So that's just very surprising that a woman that far from his exact place came and showed up in his life. Started cooking him some food. And I guess the food poisoned him. Yeah. That's what happened. And then here he is in the hospital. No visitors. Where's the woman that fed you? Where'd she go? You're giving her all of your money. Ain't that something? You're putting her through nursing school, huh? I wonder what her husband thinks about that. What's her husband think about that? Oh, where did she go? I thought she was your true love. So, after that, I didn't know. Somebody told me. That explains why the dream he was dressed in white and he couldn't move. Because he couldn't move for a long while. And after that, he started being a little bit nicer to me. And so, I guess that was his karma. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? Next, a lot of you have been asking about healing. You have sicknesses. So I wrote down some psalms that are usually for healing. Psalm 102, you say to receive healing rays. And it says those who are ill may receive health-giving enlightenment when they pour out the complaint before the Lord. It's a very long psalm, but when you say it, just focus on the healing rays. Psalm 89 is for when you feel weak and to ease pain and suffering. Psalm 127 is for if you have a sick child. It's pray daily for the child's recovery. It's a very short psalm. It says, lo, children are a heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. The next for health is Psalm 30, which is in time of sickness. A powerful prayer for recovery are verses 11 and 12. Use them often as needed. It's Psalm 30, 11 and 12. And finally, the one that I say you can use for pregnancy, like if you're having fertility issues, is Psalm 113. There's also another prayer in the Bible, which I call Hannah's prayer. And I don't know what chapter. It's like Hannah's prayer. She had, what is his name? Not Solomon. Eli? Hannah prayer in the Bible. I meet a lot of women that have fertility issues. So Hannah's prayer, Song of Hannah. What was the prayer of Hannah to God? This was in Samuel. Okay. So Hannah was at the temple praying. Hannah, Samuel. 1 Samuel 3 through 7. Every year this man went from his hometown up to Shiloh to worship and offer a sacrifice to the God of the angel armies. Eli and his two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, served as the priests of God there. When Elkanah sacrificed, he passed helpings from the sacrificial meal around to his wife Peninnah and all her children, but he always gave an especially generous helping to Hannah because he loved her so much and because God had not given her children. But her rival wife taunted her cruelly, rubbing it in and never letting her forget that God had not given her children. This went on year after year. Every time she went to the sanctuary of God, she could expect to be taunted. Hannah was reduced to tears and had no appetite. Her husband Elkanah said, "Oh, Hannah, why are you crying? Why aren't you eating? And why are you so upset? Am I not of more worth to you than 10 sons?" So Hannah ate, and then she pulled herself together, slipped away quietly, and entered the sanctuary. This is not the King James Version. Oh my goodness. Good Lord. And she vowed a vow and said, "O Lord of hosts, if thou," this is the prayer you say, "O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thine handmaid and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid, but wilt give unto thine handmaid a man-child," or a girl-child, "and then I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head." So, I guess she made like a Nazirite vow. But you can say that prayer. You can make like a promise. What else? Finally, the last section is love. A lot of you ask about love. And I just wanted to share some stuff with you. There's 2 psalms. One psalm that I think would help you with love is Psalm 99. And it's aid toward purity. Sometimes you just have a lot going on with you spiritually, emotionally, even physically sometimes. And your love isn't manifesting because you're just not healed. So even if you get someone, on average, they may be toxic. They may be at the same place that you are. You're not attracting somebody in the healed version of yourself. When are you healed? I don't know. It all depends. Sometimes a person will appear during the process of your healing. The most asked about psalm is Psalm 88, which is to reconcile estranged lovers. Copy verses 8 and 18 on parchment. On the other side of the paper, write the two lovers' names as many times as needed to cover the paper. Place the talisman, name side down, beneath a container of fire of love incense burned daily. I haven't used ever a container of fire of love incense. I might have used oils, like Come to Me oil, candles, but this psalm has worked. However, you have to consider, if it's reconcile estranged lovers, if you're trying to manifest somebody back, sometimes they will not come back because they're not supposed to be back. Sometimes you're being protected from craziness. Sometimes your life is being protected. Yes. Some people are not in your space because they are actually dangerous and can physically harm you. Some of them are the ones keeping you back. I remember I was involved with a guy and I had money issues. As soon as he left, my money came back. Sometimes that person is a blockage. Other times you might reconcile, but they come back to you in a different way. Like, for example, I've done this psalm on and off many times, and I've had exes come back. I had my high school ex come back, but I was a different person because I'm grown. I'm not little Kiara anymore. I've had guys that I used to be obsessed with that I'm not obsessed with anymore in return. And it's just a different dynamic. Like, we're older, we're wiser. We might just be friends. You might not be in a romantic relationship with this person. They might just be your friend. They might just be there to co-parent with you. They might just be there to get you a job or to help you. When a lot of my exes came back, a lot of them helped me. Some of them would give me rides. One carried my bookcase home, like, yay, thank you. I needed that. Thank you. Yeah, we had a bad breakup, but now we're older. And thank you for helping me, because you're a different person and I'm a different person. We can reconcile. I'm over it. Sometimes the ones you don't want will come back, like my young ex came back. And we talked a little while, and I ended up blocking him because I was just done with that phase of my life. I was like, you know what? I've matured. I've come very far. Sometimes they come back to close, to finish some type of unfinished business, to make some type of sense of karma. And once that is healed, your new love will come. I'd say Psalm 103. I would focus on psalms that were for cleansing. And when I say cleansing, it's like for spiritual cleansing. Psalms for getting away from resentment. Just psalms like that for healing, so that your heart can be in a better place to bring this person. Other psalms you can do are for spiritual blessings. Love is a spiritual blessing. Love is abundant in this universe, so saying those psalms and channeling joy within you will surely draw love to you and to your space. Sometimes As I said, you can't attract them because you're feeling resentment in your heart. You're angry. You're so angry that love doesn't even want to have a space in your heart because it's hurting. It's like, I'm so mad. I don't love that person. You're expending so much energy hating, you don't have enough energy to love. Right now, no person has come into my life, or well, no guy has come into my life because my energy is being used for creativity. Even though I want one to come into my life, one that I like, it hasn't happened because my energy is going towards other things. It's going towards making paintings. It's going towards school. It's going towards developing myself spiritually because I have to help my customers. I have to help them. They're in a crisis. And that takes a lot of energy to help somebody in a freaking crisis, you know? I have to develop more compassion. I have to develop more wisdom. And as I develop these traits for something of a higher nature, then naturally the dude will come in my space. I don't know. That's probably how it will happen. I'll just be like, I'll be generating that energy and I'll be like, who the hell is, hey, how are you? And I'm like, who is you? And it might happen like that. Who knows? Or somebody might be like, oh, what a nice girl. I have an eligible bachelor's son and such a thing. And I'll be like, oh, look at everyone I married. And it could happen like that. It could happen anyway. But I have to trust that my bountiful spiritual blessings will come. And that is what I say. Because the more love you are, the more love you attract in your life. When you are trying to bring back this dead energy, you're just robbing yourself. You're hurting yourself. The people that write in the comments that are like, help, help, help. This person is running from you because they aren't supposed to be there. They're keeping you from your spiritual growth. They're not showing you how valuable you are. You're a valuable person. And you deserve somebody that wants to be in your presence. You deserve somebody that doesn't make it seem like you're asking for too much. You want somebody that makes you feel as fulfilled as you make yourself feel. That is why it's taking so long sometimes, because you're robbing yourself by giving the love you should be giving to yourself to somebody who's running in the opposite direction for whatever way, shape, or form. They might just be like, I'm not ready to accept this type of love. And that's not your problem. That's not your problem. I feel like there's another message and I literally just don't know. I don't know. But all I can say is you have to be still. I really think you should read Psalm 119 verses 97 through 104 if you're going through something. Or just sit and read the book of Psalms if you're having anxiety. If you're just feeling lonely, read through them. You don't even have to do a spell with them. Just read. And they'll bring you comfort. The Psalms aren't just happy-go-lucky, if that makes any sense. Some of them you can feel the pain in the person's heart. Other times you can hear rejoicing. It's a very human book of the Bible. Some other Psalms. Some other Psalms books that I'm thinking about working with in the future are the Psalms Workbook by Robert Laramie. And this one has the Psalms listed, but it also has like the spell you can do. This other book, Success and Powers to the Psalms by Donna Rose. It doesn't have the Psalms in there. It just has the spell and task you can do. This one, Kabbalistic Magic, only has one section of the Psalms in there. I can't remember which chapter. It's chapter 59. No, chapter 8. It's on page 59, so yeah. Chapter 8. This is the book. Kabbalistic Magic, Talismans, Psalms, Amulets, and the Practice of High Ritual. But yeah, that's all I have to say for now. Psalms that I'm working on right now. I'm going to spend April going through the Psalms again. I'm going to be focusing mostly this go round on Psalms that are for increasing psychic abilities, of course, increasing wisdom, protection, because the city been getting like way out of control violent, and I've been like seeing people pulling out guns like around me, and that's just not cool. Healing, but mainly the psychic talents, because I feel it's going to help me help the customers in their life path. And I'm also going to start looking for Psalms that will like draw family to me. Like Psalm 128 is one that you can use to draw love in a family to you. Psalm 45 you can use to draw marriage towards you. I also think that it's good for beauty. Another is looking for Psalms that help with clearing karma. So like that casting away resentments thing, I think is a karmic Psalm, like help you get past it. And also Psalms for money, because I want money. Actually, I don't want money. I need money, but I do want money. Okay. Because I use it for my school. And living expenses and my career goals. And that's about it. And my savings. Yeah. So, thank you all for watching this video. I'll see you the next go round with a different book of the Psalms, and we'll see how that one works. And if whichever one you want me to do, just write in the comments like which one you want to see first. So talk to you later. Bye bye.